Right, morning everyone. Thanks for making the effort to get here. I know the traffic in Harare is bad. Dave had to get up at 3:30 this morning. Come from the east of the country. Thank you, Dave. We appreciate efforts like that from everyone who can make it. Just like to say thank you to John and Jackie for hosting the day. As you can see, John's done a lot of work here, setting up the pens. We've changed it from the last time, and I think it's great. It's all together, not from over there to a kilometre down there. Just a few thank yous. Edna, who's doing the catering. Thank you, Edna. Anyone who needs a decent caterer, go and see Edna. And the lunch is provided by Hanneswan, Gala Park. So thank you to them. The ladies' toilet is across there. The gents is here, and the gents' urinals there. If you haven't found it yet, those are not donated. We had to pay for them, but a lady from Chinhoyi, Royal Rose Funeral Services, and they came wrapped and cling wrapped this morning, clean. I don't know who's used them, but if the outside is as good, the inside is as good as the outside, it should be okay. Right, let's get going. So these are my 4 bulls that we've selected for the National Bull Sale. I've got a Tuli herd in Tengwe, those that don't know. Pedigree herd in Tengwe. The bulls get weaned there, and whenever John's got enough food here, they get sent across here. These bulls went on to 1% Mukono ration, Mukono bull ration. It's a new one, Super. Yeah. So we've got another one formulated this year called Super. It's 1% of their body weight, and they went on to that when the rain's finished. So that's all they've had, that food, no more. Okay, so they're for the national, for people just to look at. There was something on the Zimbabwe brief Jacko's group, I'll call it Jacko's group, about whether we should be buying cattle that have had some food and bulls that have had some food in them, or those bulls across there that have had no food in them. You buyers will tell us at the end of the day, I think. Okay, but obviously for national, this is what we need to take there. Picture perfect. Okay, so we're not going to dwell on these too much.
They're not over fat.
No, we don't want them over fat.
That's what I say, so nothing to worry about.
Okay, thanks Dave. And Dave is a buyer, or past buyer. Hopefully him and William will get busy.
That was a bid.
Yeah, it was a bid. 2,000 already, eh? Okay, any questions about these bulls?
Sorry,
okay, all right.
Just quickly, so you say they've only had 1% of their body weight?
Yeah.
They haven't been full fed?
No.
So what is that, about 4 kgs, 5 kgs?
They're just over 600 kgs now, so that's
6 kgs.
6 kgs.
Okay.
So we just found the previous Mukono ration was, we needed to put closer to the sale, we had to push it up a bit. On this one, hopefully, you know.
What's the difference between that one and the previous one?
I don't know.
More energy, more...
I've no...
They have more protein in it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is there was a lot of grass in it. Well, we didn't want to be...
Previous one, yeah.
The previous one, so we didn't want to be transporting grass when they can eat it themselves.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a little bit more expensive than the Mukono standard, but yeah, that's the difference. And
Yeah.
Next, the actual numbers and details, ice feeds, but yeah, they might not have it here.
Yeah.
Ice feeds are here with Red Day, so they're part of the company, but you can talk to them afterwards on that one. So in this group here, we've got two groups mixed together. When I first designed the thing, I thought, okay, we've got 12 pens, we'll leave one for the loose, and 11 will be plenty. Well, we run a bit short, so we've had to combine 2 groups together here. But there's 3 bulls in here, weaner bulls. The red and white one there, this black one close to me, and this red and white one here. Those three facing you are three bulls. They're basically they're dairy bulls. So it's Mashona cross Ayrshire. And we'll see their sisters further down the line. But to me, it's ideal. I won't even say small scale, because I would love to be milking cows that are made up 50-50 like this. And I have got some down the line which we will see, and they've done extremely well for me. So to be able to put these young bulls onto a dairy cow will give you the adapted genetics from the Mashona and then the milk from the Ayrshire. So that's the reason for the combination that we've got here. They're about 10 months, 11 months old, I think 10 months old. They're fairly well developed. They haven't had any food or anything. They've come from being weaned from their Mashona mothers straight to just felt grass. And they've actually done pretty well for themselves. Those 3 bulls are for sale. Anybody's interested in them, there is a price there on the outside.
There's one Brahman cross in there.
Yeah, there's 3 Brahman cross in there. There's the other 3 are 3 heifers. 2 of them are Mashona cross Brahman, and the other one is Mashona cross. Sorry, got too many breeds to deal with here. 2 of them are Mashona cross Brahman. The other one is Tuli cross Brahman. So the 3 darker brown black heifers, that's their cross. They're in here just to show us an example of the different crossbreeds that we can put the Mashona and the Tuli. Today is about Mashona and Tuli, and that's just we've got Brahman calves here, we've got Angus calves there, we've got Ayrshire calves from these mother cows. And I think that's also quite an important thing we have found out, is the mother cow is the important one. You can cross a Mashona cross Angus by using an Angus bull on a Mashona cow, or you can do it the other way around, using a Mashona bull on an Angus cow. It should be 50-50. That's how maths works out. But if the mother is in weak condition because she's not adapted to the environment, she can't take care of her calf, her weaner, she doesn't bring it to the weaning stage at a decent strength and thing, and she can't, that makes that weaner weaker, and it takes longer to build up to where it should be. So these are all from the strong, the Ayrshire cross bull calves in here. They're from a Mashona mother with an Ayrshire bull on them. So the Mashona has raised them up and got them to where we want them to be, and then their genetics take care of them after that. This is sort of an in-between group, so probably not too much discussion required here, because their sisters are up there, and that's sort of more important on that side for the dairy crosses. But if anybody has got any questions on these ones, we can answer on that. Anyone want to start bidding on the bulls, we can. We'll go into the next group and hand over back to Jan for
my main Tuli herd is in Tengwe, and then we had some of the, obviously we've limited, we can do 120, 140 females on our place, so I have to cull out. If they don't get sold, they come here to John, the bottom of the group, come here to John, and so these are all pedigree Tulis, these 2 groups, pedigree Tulis, and they are, we're using them on the crossbreeding. So this group is in-calf to Ayrshire sex semen. I think John's, you come from somewhere up there, Ayrshire, is it, John? Yeah. Is that the strong, but yeah, I've got a little dairy at home, and I've got an Ayrshire bull from John, and we're loving those crossbred cows that we've got in the dairy, doing really well for us. So we made this decision 18 months ago to change tact a bit and concentrate more on the dairy, to feed John's dairy also, and to we just think there's a higher value in a crossbred animal. You'll see when we get to the dairy cows down there, you'll see how good they are. So some of these also may have come from the Tuli sale some years ago. Anave, there's Anave genetics in here. There's Matthias Nalaya, Zimba Tuli, I think there's 1 or 2 left, and the Jambo one, and Kerry Stewart, Gwanda also. So we've got a mixed bag of Tulis in here. They're not all just from me, so it's quite nice to see how they're all doing. But yeah, these cattle are on the veld. They're not even getting a block at the moment, and this is how they're looking. I'm really chuffed how they are, and you know, low input, and they're looking like this. I think it's great. Do you want to say anything about the crossing?
Yeah, there's just a quick add there as well. That little weaner that's sitting in front of you here, she's in this group because she's out of sync with the next lot of calves. She's a Asia cross Tuli, so her father was that sex semen that we've used, and yeah, she just found her way back to the mother. That's why she's in this group on her own. But yeah, really the crossbreeding has really worked, and the other thing which I didn't mention earlier with using the indigenous breed as our mother cow is the reconception as well. Yeah, we're making a stronger weaner, but we also got a healthier mother that's getting back in calf again very quickly. And yeah, I'm very happy with the condition of all these adapted breeds and how well they're doing. We have had a fairly good summer this year, but I think we've had the Tuli and the Mashona herds here probably nearly 8 years now, and in that time they haven't even had a salt lick. Never mind winter maintenance, never mind summer phosphate, nothing. We are slightly understocked, so we have the carrying capacity for that, but we're getting the results. Anything more on these Tulis? We have got another Tuli herd next door as well.
Is this a bulling season? Are you working on the bulling season?
Yeah, we on the bulling season we have come back. Up till last year we were on all year round bulling, and then this last season when we started with the AI for the sex semen, we went to a fixed bulling season, and to calve in when the grass is green, so basically calving October, November, so when the calves are starting to suckle hard, we've got green grass. And so that's what we've done with these, and so there's obviously a little bit of change over time for some that were too late to get pregnant again, but it's really worked well.
John, just your thinking behind Asia cross Tuli and Asia cross Mashona. Do you think there's a higher value? You think there's a market for those calves as opposed to like your Angus cross Mashona, more beefy animal? Do you think there's a market for the dairy animals?
Yeah, between you and me there's 6 dairy farmers. This is my market right here. Right now, yes, there is, and so that's why we've been playing around with crossbreeding and chopping and changing. We still got the mother cow. Next year, if we decide that no, Angus was working better, or some other breed, we can still chop and change.
Or even go back to Mashona,
back to pure. Yeah, if we're running short on numbers, we will do that too. And but we're basically chasing the current market, which is a big push for dairy, and I personally would like to see the cheaper dairy cow, because our dairy thing, I don't know, you guys have got the numbers, I think it's like 70% food which goes into a dairy, and if you can just cut that down to 60, it's going to save us a lot of money, and we'll get a little bit slightly less milk, and I tell you, we'll see the cows on the road just now, there hasn't been less milk either. Mario?
So, Jan, and John, thank you so much for this. And I think this is a fantastic example of showing you the power of the maternal breed. So normally we talk about crossbreeding, to use the crossbred cow as a basis and use that maternal heterosis to get your foundation for beef production. But what you're showing here is your indigenous cow is the best cow, and we've got research data to support that. And what I really like what you're doing, Jan, is you've got your top Tuli cow, your herd, your stud herd, but the bottom end you're putting to your commercial. This is going back to what Doug's been talking about for a long time, the 60-40. The 60% of your herd, you're keeping pure, you're generating that purebred animal. The 40% you're making best utilization of that maternal cow to produce the progeny you want, and you're taking full advantage of all the inherent maternal qualities in our indigenous breeds. So I think this is a classic example, and it's well done. I think it's a really exciting example
Thanks.
of what we can do going forward.
Yeah, I mean, originally we started with a 2BX, 4BX, and we just, you know, the beef price wasn't there before even, and that's why we've decided to skip the 2BX, 4BX and concentrate on this, and been very pleasantly surprised how well they've done. Yeah, very surprised.
If you go back to comparing that crossbred cow to these cows, I'm going to bet that these cows are going to be more fertile because they're adapted to the environment. They'll give you a good calf, but they'll keep the condition of getting calf again.
Yes.
And that's the secret.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we'll just move on to the
We'll
cows
talk
with calves
Tuli,
at foot.
Okay, so this is still part of what our original 2BX, 4BX was. Okay, we were crossing the Tulis with the Angus at this stage, and so these are all cows, Tuli cows with their Angus cross calves. And again, once again, look at the cows. There's one bit thin, but they're looking great, I think. And yeah, look at the calves also. You can see the Angus stamp, the red Angus stamp is very strong there. We still got a flask full of red Angus semen, so not as Maria said, we can go back if we want to. But yeah, we're very chuffed with them. They're doing well, and I think it speaks for itself.
Yeah, so Jan, I came here and visited Jan and John, well, Jan was here about 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And at that stage you still had the Angus cows with their Tuli Angus calves.
Yes.
And you had the Tuli cows with their Tuli Angus calves.
Yeah.
And it was chalk and cheese. The weaners in that, or the calves in that group were shockers actually. They did not, I mean, they
In the Angus group.
these.
Yeah.
Angus group, the Angus mothers with their calves.
Yes.
The calves were not good. But these calves are beautiful out of the maternal
Yeah.
line. It was
Yeah.
very distinct, yeah.
So yes, for those that do know, I did buy an red Angus herd, and exactly what Anne is saying, we found that the Angus crosses just weren't as good as from the indigenous maternal mother. So we have sold that herd, but we've got a flask full of semen in case we want to use it on the Tuli or the Mashonas. Okay. Yeah?
What would you recommend the next line of breeding would be for this cross, for the heifer, the cross heifer?
Jeez, whatever you'd like. Yeah, whatever you'd like.
I suppose what they're not as hardy and adapted as their mothers,
Yeah,
but they do have half that genetics. So as a commercial beef herd,
yeah,
they'll be great. And
yeah.
but they can take any.
Yeah, you want to put a Brahmin on there, Beefmaster, anything that's different to that will give you a beef animal. You know, it's not what we're wanting. It's not what John is wanting for his dairy. And if females are staying here, they'll probably get crossed with the Ayrshire sex semen then.
But even an Angus Tuli, back on Angus Tuli would be a good cross.
Yeah, it would be, yeah. Or even a Tuli onto this, because again we've got Tuli semen on the flask.
The other thing one can do is a two-way rotational cross.
Yeah.
Switching back 5/8, 3/8, 5/8, 3/8.
Yeah, we just don't have the numbers to do all of that, Chaka. So at some stage they just become part of another group. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Just as a matter of interest, how old are these cows?
These calves are 6 months thereabouts. There might be a couple that are 6.5. We've been weaning at 7 months, so they're just off weaning. They'll be weaned. Some of them will be weaned at the end of July. So the ones that have already been weaned, it's actually worked out perfectly for today's function. The ones that have already been weaned are the Ayrshire crosses, and the ones that are still with their mothers are the Mashona crosses. So it's actually quite nice to be able to, we've got a dead split there. Just sort of change what Jan said there. We were using the Ayrshire sex semen, and because of human error with artificial insemination, we needed a bull for the last month of bulling, and that's when we put the Angus bull in. So that's where these progeny have come from. What I've done in the following year, which is just finished, we did the Ayrshire sex semen, and then we put a Brahman bull in, because I believe, like the dairy crosses, the Brahman crosses have got a little edge on the market. I'm a Brahman breeder, and today is not about Brahmans, so I'm not saying they're better. but it's what the market wants. So, and we don't end up with very many of them, because our main focus is on the AI. There's just just over 3 weeks period where we put the bull in, just to cover any human error on the AI, and then we put in a bull of a different variety.
And it would be quite interesting to see what these little bulls, if people put them onto a herd. I mean, you've got the Angus in there, so you have to be aware you're putting a bit of beef and softness in, but it'd be quite interesting to see if somebody put it onto a Brahman type herd or an Indigenous type herd, these little bull calves. That would be, it might be somebody quite nice.
Well, we sold some of those 4BX bulls to the Midlands and to Maribeland. Those buyers were all very chuffed for those bulls. They did their herd very well.
50% indigenous breed and 50% exotic.
Exotic,
and they've done very well, And I sold one of these guys, little brother, from the Mashona cross Angus guys the other day, and he was only like 5-6 months old, and somebody wanted him as a bull. So he's gone.
Okay. Sorry.
These cows here, are they in calf? The cows.
They will. We haven't done a pregnancy check on them, and that's the slack management on this place. I'll be doing it after the field day, but we haven't checked them. But yes, they've had opportunity to get pregnant, but they are the tail end of the last year's calving crop, so they could have not become pregnant because they've fallen off they haven't had enough time to recover with the calf at foot. But half of them will be pregnant, and they should be. And and as Jan said, apart from that one, the condition is good enough for them to be pregnant.
What kind of percentage do you get on your AI? Does it depend on
percentage?
Or whether that's coming to cycle naturally?
So these are all coming into cycle naturally. We're not technical like full read and is. We just let the season dictate and let them come on heat.
So the question was what we're doing on the AI as to what percentage pregnancy are we getting from the AI, and as Jan just said, we're not doing anything more than artificial insemination. We're not using any hormones to stimulate anything. We're just using natural. When the cow comes on heat, we've got a teaser bull in with the cows. When the cow comes on heat, we will inseminate her. And to answer your question, we're probably getting a pregnancy for every 2 straws. Maybe even a little bit better. The one time I worked it out, we were on 1.6. So,
You see, John has got an inseminator that does all his dairy, does all the small scale dairy around. So he's constantly doing AI. So he's jacked up.
Put your hand up, Shobu.
Helps. Where is he?
Yeah, Shobu.
Yeah.
He is the one.
He's the man. Yeah.
He does.
He's the bull.
He is the bull. And when you, I was going to say, when you look at a bull, a working bull is always in poor condition.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other questions on these Tuli mamas here? We still got one more pen of Tuli cross. So as we go into this group here, these are the older sisters to the calves that are next door. So they're from last year, 2022 and 2023 heifer calves, Tuli mums, Angus bull. And I don't know, only been in the cattle industry for 3 generations. These are special heifers. These are beautiful heifers. And as a commercial beef animal, they're just perfect, functional looking animals. The top end of them are pregnant already. When they're with a bull, we're not worried about what age they are. If they cycle, keep them going. If we've got to look after the mother when she's teenage pregnancy, we'll look after her later. So these are, so it's a Tuli cow with an Angus bull. There is one who's snuck in here somewhere. She's got a bit of white on her face. She's actually from a Simmental bull. So that was what Jan was talking about earlier when we were doing the 2BX, 4BX program. Basically that program was an indigenous animal, which we were at the time was the Tuli or the Mashona, crossed with a Simmental, and then we crossed the Brahman with a Red Angus, and then we took those two together to make the four-way cross. So she's still a remnant of having the Simmental here. But yeah, they are beautiful, feminine. I can't say fertile because they haven't proved themselves yet. Some of them have already proved themselves, but they're a feminine, beautiful group of heifers. And when we come back into the next bulling season, they will be inseminated to sex dairy semen again. So we will be using them as part of the herd, which is contributing towards the dairy. They won't be as strong as a pure Tuli, adapted wise, but we've got them here and we'll see how they do. Everything's an experiment. We're not saying we've got the answer. So keep going, keep having a few different options flying around it. And it's the beauty about here is that it's all on one farm. Like the Tuli and the Mashona herd run in one herd. They don't get separated. So we can compare apples with bananas. Any questions on this lot? Yeah, Philip?
Without being too technical, you guys are producing the perfect recipient cow for embryo. Yeah, that too. Yeah, thank you. Well, thanks to the breed. Yeah, they're just a functional commercial animal. Yeah, and your offer is accepted.
So I always think these are a little bit of a waste going to Ayrshire, personally.
Yeah.
Because you've got the Angus in there, which is your beef, and you're not using that if you're putting them to Ayrshire. So I get that you're running them all together.
Yeah.
But it's I fully get where you take your because if you're producing a hardy dairy animal, then you're using your Indigenous with your dairy. But taking your crossbred, where you put a beef animal, a very specialised beef animal in here, it would be really nice to see these, just to see what they would do on like a bunch of steers. Bred either, as Jaap is saying, back to one of your bulls that you keep, or you do a 50-50 back and see what these steers would look like in the abattoir, because I think they would be really nice.
Yeah, we have sold some steers for brothers of these guys, and I haven't seen the end product. I think they're quite there yet, but they were pretty good looking feeder steers when they went.
Whereas your Simmental had the advantage of being a milk animal as well, so that was more to do a Tuli Simmental and then put Ayrshire made more sense.
Yeah, sure. And
but again, and we've only got a small group for us to do something different. So we'll throw the Ayrshire sex semen on it. So we're getting females off it again, and we'll see how it goes. You know?
Full first bid was yours, and second, who's up for the next? Yeah, they're just, as you said, they're too beautiful to miss. Yeah. Any other? We've still got one more Tuli cross pen to go. I thought that was the last, but we still have one more. We'll go. Sorry.
Are you in a position to keep all your heifers until you can select for fertility, or do you select before you know that they're pregnant?
No, on that question was just on our selection process for keeping heifers. I've always been a believer in let the pregnancy tell which is your best cow or your best heifer, So I'm not going to say this one's better than that one because of the length of her tail or something like that. If she gets pregnant, she stays.
So you're in a position to keep.
We've got the grazing to wait a bit, and then to get our selection from that process here. Let's go move. We'll go on to the next pen. So yeah, this is another group of Tuli progeny from the Tuli mums. So these are the Tuli cross Ayrshire, this group here. So this is your 50% dairy, 50% adapted beef, Zimbabwe beef breed, indigenous breed, put it that way. And again, these have been weaned in the last couple of months and they just eating veld grass. They haven't had any favors, and that, yeah, they're maybe a little bit leaner, but the Tuli, well, the indigenous part of their makeup is what's carrying them, what's keeping their condition going. Mostly brown. There's the odd one with a bit of white on it. The one on the far end there, George, can you just push a one cement across here? That one coming out with a bit more white on her. Her mother is a Tuli cross Simmental. And then onto the Ayrshire. So she's 50% Ayrshire, 25% Tuli, 25% Simmental. And that goes back to when we were doing the beef crossbreeding. That's where her mother came into the scene. So she's got 50% dairy plus, maybe you can call it 12% of dairy from the Simmental, because the Simmental is generally considered a dual purpose breed.
Have you milked? And what milk yield?
The crossbreeding milking ones are coming up, but these are the oldest we've got of this particular cross, where the Ayrshire is crossed with the Tuli, or further down the line Ayrshire is crossed with the Mashona. I think they are going to milk because I'll show you the next group, the same, here where you're coming from, same direction, and yeah, I believe they will milk, and I'm wanting all of these for my dairy, so I'm saying they're gonna milk because I want them. So there is on the paper there's some of these are for sale, and Jan and I, with our partnership here, mine are the yellow tags, Jan's are the white tags. I'm keeping the yellow tags, but the white tags are for sale. So if anybody's interested in them for future of dairy, the ones with the white tag, there's one on that side, 2 in the middle here, 3 over there, 4. So there is a group of they're young heifers, but they're going to be going towards the dairy industry. I believe by the end of next year we'll be milking these.
Would you push them into full dairy or the bush dairy system where you only milk once a day?
Question was we're going to full dairy, normal conventional dairy, or to go into a bush dairy. We've got an in between here, I'd like to call it. We milk in a mobile parlour. Cows do eat grass, but at the moment they've got silage as well. We're not pumping them, we're not trying to get maximum out of them, we're not trying to get maximum milk, which means we're not trying to put in maximum food. We're trying to use as much of nature as we can. I know where Ice Kirk has got his T-Rex, so his T-Rex is as close to this as you're going to get. Ice Kirk has got his T-Rex, which is Tuli cross Red Dane. Red Dane and the Ayrshire are fairly similar in the amount of milk they're going to produce and the care that they need and all of that. They are different breeds, but they're fairly close to each other. And Ice is milking his for the summer season, basically. So he's taking advantage of green grass and adding a bit of food to it. If there's a shortage of green grass, he's got silage to back it up, and his cows are producing, I think, dairy guys, 20 litres a day. He is milking them twice a day, and we are milking twice a day as well. And yeah, if I got 20 litres, if most of us got 20 litres a day, we'd be quite proud of being a dairyman. So yeah, I think there is potential for them on both sides, but what we'll show in the next group here is the beef part of the cross pushes a bit towards getting fat instead of making milk.
So John, just in terms of supplementation, you're saying you're not supplementing?
No.
So a normal weaner in winter needs 150 grams of supplemental crude protein. So, and 2/3 of that ideally natural, 1/3 from urea, and you will find a return to your investment. So, shouldn't they be getting 150 grams of protein?
Yeah, Jaco, I believe you have got it all correct there, and you've got a lot more figures than I've dealt with. I'm going on skimping, not spending money, and we've got away with it for quite a while. And we are understocked, so these weaners will get preferential grazing where we've got short grass, where we've got flay, where we've got shoreline of the dam. So they do get a bit, but yes, I do hear you. They, especially now that we've thrown in a bit of dairy into 50% dairy, they are going to be a bit softer. They're not going to do as well. And we've just come out of, for us, has been an incredibly good summer season. Being a relatively dry one, but we've had enough to keep green grass on the table for the cows and the weaners. So we've been spoiled so far, but we're about to fall off the wave. But yeah, I definitely think that we will need to supplement them soon, and to some point.
And have you got maize over?
Yeah, we also got maize over, so that also helps. There's still a bit left. Yeah. So yeah, the younger cows, and obviously, as Jan said, the Angus cows, when we had them here, they all had priority grazing. So it's quite nice now that I got more priority for these younger ones. Doug?
I think, John, just from a physiological point of view, once an animal is hit weaning and being weaned, its fertility is set for its life. Okay, so you can't damage it other than you will not possibly reach its full potential for size. Now the question is, do we want big cows? So you could just keep them so you don't see ribs through winter. That would be my part. You can then end up with a smaller cow. You will not have altered her fertility at all. But because puberty is related to age and to body condition, if you want to then bring them into service, into heat, one then can steep up the energy a little bit and they'll take, but you'll end up with a smaller cow and a more efficient cow to run.
Thank you, Doug. That makes a lot of sense, and yeah, good to know some science from it all. And I think what we've said already here, and going to say again, going on to the next lot of indigenous animals, that mother cow has provided all that pre-weaning nutrition in milk, and yeah, that's good to know. Thank you. That's sorry. This group here, these are we've gone from beautiful to beautifulist. These group, so these four cows in here, they are 50% Mashona. Their mothers were Mashona. We used a Simmental bull on the mothers. I didn't select them for dairy. When I decided 2 years ago, we had a tragedy in the dairy. We lost 3/4 of our dairy herd to theileriosis, and I needed some milk. And I looked at these cows. They were two of them had calved, and the other ones were about to calve. They were out in the veld on nothing, on no nutrition. I looked at their condition. I looked at their udders, and I thought, well, they've got half their genetics is Simmental. Simmental's a dual purpose breed. Bring them in. Let's see if they make any milk. And yeah, I think I brought in 7, 8. One refused to milk, and the other one was a bit low on milk, but we kept the rest and kept them going. And that first year, that was the first calf. The first year they were new to the milking system, had never seen this being handled before and all that kind of stuff, and they also, their length of lactation was short. Traditionally, best option in a dairy is you want to be milking for 300 days, dry it off for 60 days to rest and recover, and back in calf again at 365 days. I mean, back calving again, back in milk again at 365 days. That's the ideal situation. These girls probably dried off at about 200, 240 days. Their milk production went down. And because I was tight with money, and I thought, well, they've done their job. chuck them out in the bush. They went and they lived with my Brahmin herd, which get least priority. And they lived out there, and I forgot about them. They were in with the cows. They were pregnant, and then 2 weeks before they were going to calve, I was again looking through the Brahmin cows. Hey, these cows are here, and last year they did okay. Let's bring them back in and milk them. And they weren't far off looking in this condition on the veld. Brought them back in and milked them again, and of the 4 here today, two of them have done their 300 days in milk, 2 months dry off, and calved again straight afterwards. They've actually done less than 300 days because they needed that 60-day rest. The only reason they did less than 300 days is because they were pregnant so much quicker. This brown close one here, she calved 2 months ago. It was 29 days she cycled, she's pregnant. Done. And so she's going to produce me another calf, produce me more milk again, and they've been. So she's 2 months ago. The one behind the bull here with the big white strap around her, she calved 5 days ago. The one next to her calved 2 weeks ago, and the one at the bottom, she's got a little calf with her now. She calved day before yesterday, and they're in beautiful condition. They are eating the dairy food which they get when they're being milked, and they get silage as well, as do all the dairy cows. And they're producing, I've written on the label there, 12 to 15 liters per day, and that's actually slightly higher than my dairy cows are. And they look like this, and they get pregnant so much quicker. They just.
And how much food?
Their food, the actual dairy food that we give works out, and it's an average again because we don't measure it as science, but we get, for half a kg of dairy meal, we get a liter of milk, which I think on the pure dairy guys, that's actually pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, and they've got their silage on top of that as well, which I think it's like 10 kgs of wet silage per day, so it's 3.5 kgs of dry matter. They've got grass to eat as well. Yes, yeah, it's not very pretty grass. They do well on it. So yeah, they're really impressive, and so this is obviously now we've done the Tuli. This is the start of the Mashona thing, but this was just a break to put in between the two because they are cross Simmental, which we haven't got anything else here, but they've done us really well, and this is what has caused me to make the decision that I want to use those Ayrshire cross Indigenous breed in my dairy herd because the Simmental has done so well. So yeah, the Tuli bull that is in here, because we've done all this crossbreeding that we've gone through behind us, we put an Ayrshire bull or Ayrshire semen onto our Tuli cows. I've been a pure breeder all my life. I don't like crossbreeding, and my grandfather brought the first Ayrshire cows into Rhodesia in the 1950s. So Ayrshire is in my genetics, never mind. And the only reason there's Ayshires in Zimbabwe is because of my grandfather. So it's a personal, it's human genetics as well as cow genetics. So I'm trying to keep them pure, and I've got Jersey cows, and I've got Holstein crosses and Red Dan crosses, and I breed everything to Ayrshire for the last 10-12 years we've been in the dairy. But I'm doing crossbreeding on the other side of the fence. So about 2 months ago I said to Jan, please can I have one of your Tuli bulls, and I stuck him into my dairy cows because that's exactly what I'm going to produce, exactly that, but the opposite way around. I think we will get away, what I was talking about, the maternal mother, we'll get away with that problem because it's raised in the dairy, it's given milk, it's given food, and it's taken care of. So that's why the Tuli bull is in here with them. He is essentially there to go onto the pure dairy cows, but because I've got these girls running in the same group, yes, he's going to cover them too. And he has, like this one he covered a month ago. The little calf is from an Ayrshire bull, so it's a Simmental Mashona cow with a pure Ayrshire bull on it. But from the dairy industry, it's a bull calf, so it's of limited value. But I can see someone's hand going up that he wants it. This one. He's trying to hide. it'll be that kind of a just the indigenous part of the dairy is really powerful. Any questions on these girls? Then you don't have to listen to me for a little while. Thank you.
What your cow size? Your cow size. Have you got an ideal cow size that you're aiming to make? To carry on the farm?
Yeah, I suppose not so much on what the size is, what's working. Let nature take care of that. I know that dairy doesn't involve a whole lot of nature, but I would prefer these. No, they're not big cows. They're just powerful cows, and that to me that's what I want. Those big Holstein cows are. A friend of mine who's in the dairy business said to me that's a Ferrari. If you put that Jet A1 fuel in it, you'll get whatever the Schumacher used to do, 200 miles an hour. You'll get that if you put that Jet A1. But if you come and pull into Redan or Trek and put blend in there, you won't get out of the garage because it'll die. So if you don't feed the Holstein, you're not going to get your production. Whereas the smaller type of cow, take it the Jersey or the Esher or now the crossbreeding, you can put any blend in that fuel tank, and it might not go 100 k's an hour, but it'll still go 90. Yeah, so I think all of what we're trying to do here is just trying to be economical and try not to fight nature too much.
Okay, so way back when we were starting our 2BX, 4BX, I was at the showgrounds, or what's it called now, exhibition park, for the agricultural show, and I had some cattle there, and Marie Osborne was showing her Mashonas, and the one morning she pulled in and put a for sale list up on her stall there, and she was selling a whole lot of, I don't know, 20 old biddy Mashona cows. And I said, take that down please, we're going to bring those back here to Portelet and we're going to try them on our 2BX, 4BX. So I bought those, and that was our original. I think there's one left, John, of those, is there?
Yeah, 1 or 2, yeah.
1 or 2 left of those original. They were whole cows then, and they've done us very well. Subsequent to that, I bought some from Carmen Stubbs before Mark was involved. Bought a whole lot of little heifers. That multicolored one is one of them. They jumped off the back of the lorry, not even on a ramp, and have never looked back. And then the Huck herd some years back, they were selling, and I bought a whole lot from them. And then John in the meantime had bought, and I bought his. So now the Mashonas here are mine, same as the Tulis are mine. Again, the mother herd. And we've made a decision because of how well they've done here at Portelet. We've made a decision to become a Mashona breeder ourselves. So we have applied, you see us, Mashona stud now, and we'll be getting some of the better producing cows here. Get the Mashona Society, they'll come in and inspect them. They're all, not all, but a lot of them have been in the past, have been graded by them, pedigree or whatever it is. We'll go through the records, we'll bring them back into the herd book, and we'll start a small, with AI, we'll start a Mashona pedigree herd here in conjunction with the crossbreeding here. Because we can use that, because John's good bull man there is doing the AI and doing it so well, confident it'll work for us here also. Okay, so again, we've got genetics here from 3 good herds in Zim. Also at the Admar show, for those that weren't there, the 6 heifers that were on offer, pregnant heifers, I bought those also, and one's already calved down, so there's the first bull for national bull sale for 3 years' time.
Unless you want to buy it today. It's a week old.
Okay, so these have gone through the same cycle as the Tulis have on this farm. The 2BX, the 4BX, and now crossing them with the Ayrshire sex semen. Okay. I think it says it all when John's got mainly Mashona crosses there. That they do quite well also here. Any questions? Yes, Maria.
So, Jan, to me, Doug and I were talking about this earlier on, and I'd like to use his word. This is a watershed moment, I think. You know, Team Tuli, well done to Team Tuli. I see on your Tuli stand you've got that beautiful map. Team Tuli, the Tuli is well established in this country for very good reasons. But we've really struggled to see the Mashona come to fore. You know, hats off to the Mashona people who have flown the flag. Carmen, at one stage, was the only registered stud breeder. Marie, who's done a huge amount to try and bring it back up. Helen and Andy are here, big supporters. But we've really struggled. And to me, it's sad, because this is the most productive breed in the country. So I'm not saying this because it looks nice or fancy. It's Zimbabwe's beef producing machine. It's in demand outside this country, and so I'm really delighted with what's happening, and I think it's a watershed moment, and hopefully it's going to inject a little bit of impetus back into the Mashona, and we want to see more stud breeders. So I'm delighted. I'm really passionate about the indigenous breeds, and I'm really delighted with this group. So well done, and exciting, and hopefully an injection into the Mashonas.
No, thank you. Yeah, no, thanks. We're excited about them here in the Highveld, which basically John is. They're doing phenomenally well here. You know, yesterday they were all grazing in this mode bit here, and walking amongst them. They're just looking fantastic. Not saying the Tuli aren't, but but these are looking fantastic, and they're doing very well in the crossbreeding program. Any other questions, comments?
Just a comment. I think he is doing us a lot of pride, because recently I saw an audio from showing us the Mashona breeding in America. And I was saying to myself, well, if we don't keep them, then next time if our children want to see what the Mashonas, the cows or mombes look like, one has to go to America to see them. So keep it up, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so just before we get on this lot, just want to say a few thank yous again. Thank you to all of you for coming. It's an effort to go anywhere in this country on these beautiful roads. But thank you for coming. It's great to see the audience that we have got, and I'm sure some people are still stuck in the traffic and can't make it. But anyway, thank you for coming. Thank you to our stands, exhibitors, if you want to call them. We've got Coopers here, and Coopers have been helping, sponsoring, if you want to call it, the Mukono project since inception. That would have been 2012, so I think it's 12 years now that we've been doing the Mukono project. They've been helping us with our veterinary requirements for the Mukono project since then. So Coopers, thank you for being here today, and thank you for putting your display together. And please, we've got a lot of time when we're done, as long as you need, to walk around, to look at the cattle, to talk to the guys with their stands, to buy some products. I'm sure they've got some for sale. So please take this opportunity to visit them. They have, all the stands have got water bottles available if you're talking too much and you need a drink. We've also got, I'll go across to the other side, Red Dane at the entrance where you came in. Red Dane, or Ice Feeds is part of Red Dane under Ice Cook. Ice Feeds have also been supplying us the food ration for the Mukono bulls for that 12 years as well. We do pay for it, but they've provided us with a very good service and a very good product. we've been happy with the results that we've had from them, and was not only are they providing for our Mukono bulls, but they're also providing for our dairy herd as well, the ice feed. And then we've got 5-vet in the middle here. 5-vet are not directly linked to us, but we've got 5-vet in Chinhoyi, Arab, and Tendai, the vet part of it. They're very efficient and very easy for dealing with and getting stuff through them. So thank you, Arab, thank you for coming out, and please all of you have a look at all of the stands. They've made an effort as much as we have to get here, and they've had to put up all their things. I know 5-vet had to go back to Chinhoyi for a second load of stuff to bring it out, but they did come in a Honda Fit. So they could have fitted it all in one load.
Yeah, it was their own one.
Yeah, it wasn't a hired one, otherwise you would have fitted it all. But no, thank you for them for coming here. Thank you again to Edna, who's doing the catering for us. Edna has a B&B in Chinhoyi, they're called the Secret Garden, and I know a lot of people have stayed there, overnighted there, and it's very pleasant. It's called the Secret Garden because it's featured around the corner on the back. It's out of everybody's way, and it's a beautiful place to spend the night or to go for a meal if you're stuck in Chinhoyi at any time. So Edna's helping us with the catering. We thank her for that. And as Jan mentioned, the Royal Rose, who supplied us the Portelet, that's also been a great breakthrough, because I remember 2 years ago we were getting off into the bushes here, and for Jan and I, building those things was a mission. To hire these things, just pitch and arrive and clean and perfect, it was very simple. I haven't forgotten anybody else. And then obviously we'll start over that side, the Tuli Society for their banners and flyers and everything that is there on their gazebos, and the Mashona Society right here, caps, hats, the works. And thank you to both breed societies for your show and your exhibition and for your cattle. But on top of that, they have also put in sponsorship towards all the costs here today, which are fair few, but thank you to both breed societies for that contribution. And yeah, I think that's about it. If there's anything else we remember. Yeah, so on this group here, it's basically, I guess, cousins to the ones straight across there. We have, this group is obviously the Mashona mothers, and as you can see, the Mashona is not only black. There's red Mashona, black Mashona. A personal preference, whatever you like. But what we have found is the black Mashona is when it shines in the glistening sun, it's a beautiful mombi. And doesn't matter what color or what they look like. If they are healthy, it is a beautiful mombi. So those are the mothers, and these calves are sired by a Red Angus bull. And again, this was the last month after AI with the sex dairy semen. These are the progeny from the Angus bull. So there's no selection as to which ones went to the Angus, which ones went to Ayrshire. It was just as they cycled. And once again, strong cows, healthy cows. Most of them will be pregnant again. Now, the smaller ones in here are probably on that's their first calf, and they're going to be in that condition. I wouldn't be surprised they're pregnant again. So yeah, again, very happy with the mother cow. It's just I'll repeat myself 100 times today, but it's that mother cow is proving itself amazingly here. Yeah, any questions on that lot? Well,
Agent, most Mashonas, they've got horns, but these ones, they look like they're polled cows. Tell us about the horns.
Part to hand over on that one. Polled.
How come there's so many polled here?
We actually have always selected for polled animals. Not selected, they are naturally polled. Mashona is naturally polled. That's the answer.
Yeah.
A percentage of it.
You'll get a percentage of horn. But you don't have a horn, you might have a skir. We'll take the nub of the skir off early on. But the large majority of our animals are naturally polled.
Yeah.
So something interesting about poles and horns, because Tulis are also polled and horned, is polling is a recessive gene, unfortunately. Horns are recessive.
Yeah.
So when you have a polled animal, there can be a recessive horn underneath there. So the only way you can tell that you're not going to get any horns, absolutely, is to have genomic test done to know that it's a double polled animal. So if you want to have no horns, you have to keep breeding to no horns and look for a double polled animal. That's what you don't get.
Yeah. No, thanks, Marlon. Yeah, that question, it is quite obvious here. There is much more polled, and we've also, that was the reason why we used I think on the Angus, I don't think there are any horns, but the red Angus being polled on the mostly polled Mashona and fairly polled Tuli, we've got a lot of calves that have got no horns, and yeah, it becomes a problem because, I don't know if anyone noticed, there's a weaner there with horns like this, and it's because you forget to de-horn, so you haven't got any. There's a few years back now, 3 or 4 years ago, I was doing a bunch of de-horning, and there was 110 calves to do, and we de-horned 9 of them. The rest were polled. Yeah, it was a pleasure. Just for management, it's a pleasure. But yeah. Anything else, Yaku? You look like you were you're not. But yeah, they proved themselves again.
And just something else on that horn, that Len Harvey was going for purely polled. But what he discovered is you've got to be careful not to get the face of the animal too narrow, because sometimes if you're selecting for polled, you narrow down the whole animal. And there's a saying that the narrow face translates into a narrow body. So you've got to be aware that you don't want a narrow face. You want a broad muzzle and a broad head with no horns. So just when you're selecting for that, you've got to keep, and he actually brought horns back in to bring the breadth back into the tube because he had lost it. So,
yeah, I think and fully there, but the big thing with these indigenous breeds is that big muzzle. They can hoover grass, they can get a full bite, and the pregnant Mashonas over there, they've got Baileys like hippos. Yeah, they've got a big mouth to take it in, they've got a big container to store it all and process it and make it into meat. But that muzzle is the first part. If they can't get enough into their mouth, into their intake, then they can't. It's a 12 row combine versus a 4-row combine. Yeah, we'll move on to the next strip. So while they're sorting out here, the majority, the ones closest to us here are again the big sisters of the ones next door. So they Mashona cross red Angus, this lot in front of us here. So you can see there's the black ones, there's the red ones. The red Angus, obviously the sire was red, so some of the black cows actually had red calves too. But again, we're not interested in, the skin is irrelevant to what the meat is. Yeah, as long as it's a good, fertile, functional cow, I don't care what color it is. So yeah, they're the big sisters, and obviously you can see some of the pick of them are pregnant here already. We have actually tested some of them, but yeah, they're really good. So that's them here on the right. The ones down at the bottom, which are going to come up to the side here, those are the pedigree pure Mashona that Jan mentioned earlier that he's just bought at the ADMA show. And those were 3 of them from the Stubbs herd, 3 of them from Marie Osborne's herd. And there's the little calf. So the first progeny is on the ground. He's a little bull calf. And yeah, we look forward to how he's going to grow out. They've been here a month. End of May it was, I think, yeah? So they've been here a month now. They've settled into conditions. They haven't been fed. They just chucked on the grass here as well. So they're all first calvers, basically 3 years old. They're calving around about 3 years old. That's one thing with the Mashona, that little calf is really small, but he's powerful already. He's not lacking anything. There's opportunity for the Mashona breeders to do some advertising here, do some talking. Mark, you wanting to say something about these not so beautiful cows?
Carbon problems are minimal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can I also say, just on that calving, you've mentioned it, Helen. We did that crossbreeding. We started with a Simmental bull on the Mashona cows, and we had probably 200 and something calves from over the couple of years. We pulled 2 calves. One was a cow calf with its head back. Nobody was going to fix that. That had nothing to do with the size of the calf. And one out of 220 was a heifer with a slightly bigger calf than she could handle. And those kind of odds don't happen. That's what 2 and 200 is. It's 1%. That's pretty good. You want to say something? You're going to have the mic.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, John and Jan. I'm representing the Mashona Cattle Society here today. I'd like to first of all welcome Jan into the Mashona Cattle Society. I think, as Mario pointed out, we have a very small society in Zimbabwe, which is rather surprising. We don't have enough more members. If you just have a look at the animals that are here, and they're our indigenous breed. That's our own Zimbabwean breed, and they're really good. The figures speak for themselves. The forte, although we supply Zimbabwe with purebred Mashonas, there are a number of our breeders. There are 5 of us. We do push the female side quite hard, and hence the insignia on our sign there. Sorry, it's not the Mashona Cattle Society banner. It's a cow calf. We do push that as a selling point of the Mashona cow. Very fertile, very hard, gives you a calf every year, and is hardy. And that's our motto. So we do look for members. We do need to increase our membership of the Mashona Cattle Society, because Zimbabwe has our own breed. And that's basically what I've got to say. Thank you.
Helen, do you want to come in?
I'd like to say, Helen or Andy, we are crossbreeding today. It's very exciting. Helen and Andy Locke, they are crossbreeding with Boran, and it's a very interesting cross. And I would encourage you, people who would like to crossbreed, to look at what they are doing. It's a crossbreed, interesting. We'd like to have a chat, Andy.
That's just for the recording.
Okay.
So, just briefly.
Lost the gap.
Just briefly, early 80s, we wanted some cattle on the farm. We had no cattle to utilize the stover, the Karambora pasture, the flays, and the paddocks. And there was a Simmental herd going nearby for sale, so we bought that Simmental herd. But we soon learnt, and we bought Simmental bulls. This was a European breed. It needed looking after. It needed a lot of food. And a bit like what John was mentioning, like your Frisian. You got to put a lot of food into it to get something out. And so we thought, no, we've got to crossbreed this animal. And there was some good research going on down, I think, at Makaholi and in Madibeleland. And they had a lot of information on the Shona. What Mark was mentioning, hardy, fertile, a small cow that needed less maintenance, a good cow to weaner ratio, and we thought these breeds should complement each other. So we didn't have to go far. Mark and his mother were across the river, and we got our first Mashona bulls. And we crossbred them with the Simmental, which was a good breed. But we were tobacco farmers, and we wanted an animal that could look after itself and didn't need a lot of maintenance and utilize what we had there. So we stuck with the Shona, and gradually we got more and more Shona and less Simmental, and eventually almost to a pure Mashona herd. Then we always had a problem selling the steers. Buyers would come to the farm. The heifers were no problem, but the steers, they'd come and they'd and ah, but these are Mashonas. You know, the carcasses are going to be small, and we always got a less price. And then we went to see Dave Jobson, who had started Boran breeding in Mvurui. And I was looking at his Borans,
And then in the corner of my eye in his pens were these big black Boran cross animals. And I said to Dave, what are those? He said a local Mashona bull jumped, got into some of my heifers, and that's the result. And these animals were magnificent. So I thought, right, well, let's try this Boran. And we introduced the Boran, and the results were pretty immediate. As far as fleshing went, and it was still quite a low maintenance animal, and we got more and more Boran into the herd, but always maintaining a core Mashona herd. We never wanted to get rid of so we always had a source of bringing the Shona, keeping the Shona there. And then we sold some steers to Koala Park. They were about 290 kgs. We went into feeding, and near the end of their pen feeding, they gave us a call and they said, we've got some interesting results for you. Would you like to come and see them, or come and see them being slaughtered? So we went there, and I hadn't been there at all. I couldn't believe these animals. They went in at 290 kgs average, and after 98 days in the pens, they slaughtered out at 267 kgs cold dress mass. And I was amazed. The conversion rate was good, the carcass quality was good, and we now knew we were onto a good thing. Maybe our cow size has got a bit big, but when it comes to the crossing, at the end of the day, we prefer that Boran bull onto the Mashona cow. Not so, Helen? That way around?
You get a more uniform animal, and which is generally slightly smaller, but with good depth.
Yeah. We've gone for the more compact animal, good depth. Helen wants to introduce some more fine-boned animals that she saw at Waterloo, because maybe some of ours are a little bit at the top end of the Mashona. We're trying to bring them back a bit. Yeah, and that's where we're at.
Thanks, Andy.
We generally try and select when we're going through our heifers. Unfortunately, we're not in a position to bull them and then select on fertility, so we've got to address that one. But anything that's too big is out. Anything that's too small is out, and then we sort of look at the middle of the range. And we've always gone for the smaller bulls. We always look for a smaller bull rather than a bigger bull, and look for a very compact animal, because that's what we find works for us. And then just a point, quite a lot of you have been watching videos from the States on the Mashonas, and one of the things that's been punted there is these animals are heat tolerant. Well, it's something I haven't really fussed about the Mashona, you know, the temperature tolerance, but they are actually amazing. They can tolerate extreme heat, and the Americans are telling us they're tolerating extreme cold, and showing us pictures of some of them in the snow, and they're still performing. So they're pretty hardy animals in terms of their body temperature control, as well as their calving ability, and their mothering ability is actually phenomenal, together with a really good temperament. So it's hard to beat.
I think we've got the confirmation we want, because a lot of our assessment is visual, unfortunately. Whereas we would love to be in the position to put what was being mentioned earlier, all the heifers to the bull. But that you've got to have the grazing now, and now that animal's getting bigger, for our market, for selling heifers, the market is for the small heifer. That's what the people want. And now it's another year on, it's harder. Well, you'll still sell it, but for a lesser price. Correct?
Helen, I used to do that also. I used to select for size. And the 1 year, Phil Reed, he bought all of those that I decided in my wisdom that were inferior animals. And he bought them all at inferior price, because I believe they were inferior animals. And every time Phil has a sale, I look in the catalogue and there's Oldonyo heifers. They're now old cows in his herd, and they're still there. So I made that mistake, and I just make it We just put the bull in and just make it work.
But I mean, we had one year when we selected our heifers, and we initially went in with weight, and we took the big ones, and then we tried to select the best out of the higher weights, and then we took the smaller ones, and when we separated the two, the smaller group on the lower weights was uniform and absolutely magnificent.
Yeah.
And the ones that we selected were completely all over the place.
Yeah.
So the Mashona is a small animal, and we've always, as Andy says, we were often criticised. They used to say we've come to buy your runts, but actually they always bought them.
Yeah.
And, those small animals have served us well, especially up in the high top.
Any questions?
Just
on what we're discussing?
Just a comment on what Jan has just said. You know, for us to decide the size, I think is wrong. We must select for fertility, and that will automatically reduce mature size. But once you've selected the fertile animal, then you can select for growth. So I wouldn't worry about size. Let the bull decide.
Yeah, well, I opened the beef manual and said must be over 300 kgs when you put it in a bull. So everything below 300 kgs, and those few that were way over went to full reed.
Yeah.
He didn't even come and look at them. He just sent his lorry and said load them.
That's what mates are for.
Took one for the team there. Again.
Yeah, I got a question, Andy. What's your take on taking the Boran bull onto the Jersey cows? I think John is putting on the Tuli on there. Is there anything that we can derive from that?
The Boran bull onto the...
Onto a Jersey cow.
Yeah.
Yes, I've never done that.
Okay, you got anything there? Okay.
Yeah, we've been playing with Mashona onto dairy for about 4 or 5 years, and then the odd one, the Boran bull, got in. And we're finding out now that the Mashona cuts off quickly. It won't go, it's milking 300 days and that. And then the odd Mashona that has the real indigenous traits, you take the calf away, she just shuts down. She won't give you milk. Whereas we're finding with the Boran, because they've been milked by the Maasai for 8,000 years, we're actually finding that the Boran Jersey cross is probably going to be the way we go, because there's less animals that just cut off when you take their calf away, and they will definitely milk longer. The Boran cross will milk longer than the Mashona cross. That's what we found.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah, so what I said at the beginning, where I thought I had far too many pens and I didn't need this one, and this is where we were going to put the Portelet. Well, that's why we haven't got much space to look at them, but anyway, they're in here. These are the Mashona mums with a Ayrshire bull on them, the sexed Ayrshire semen. So it's cousins to the Tuli cross Ayrshire, Mashona cross Ayrshire here. Yeah, I'm very happy with them. Yeah, as we have seen, and we're talking about the Mashona just now, the Mashona is made in Mashona land. The Tuli comes from the Tuli area down Metabili land. The Tuli genetics are slightly bigger than the Mashona. I live in Mashona land, so the smaller Mashonas are actually doing better for me than the Tuli are. The Tuli are doing well, the Mashona are doing better. And so I'm believing that these Mashona cross dairy will be a more adapted dairy animal. The Tuli cross might be might produce a bit more milk. It might be a slightly faster racing car, but it'll need more petrol. But yeah, so these again, Sam again, the white tags are for sale. I think there's only 2 in this little bunch. So these guys, there's a couple for sale. Their cousins over there, a couple for sale, and their brothers straight across here, also for sale, and the crossbreeding. Of interest, having used that sex semen, we've used it for many years in the dairy, but this particular bull, whatever they've done on the split for sex semen, it's quite a complicated process, I believe. But sex semen is giving you not a guarantee, but it's fairly confident that it's at least 85% females. So you're going to get 10 to 15% bulls. We had 35 to 40 of these girls, not a single bull. not a single bull. Over Christmas, we decided to give Shaibu, our AI technician, a break. We stuck the Asia bull in, and we were back to 50-50. So that's where the bull calves come from, if anyone's questioning. So and for my purpose, I'm happy to use them because they're actually different. Use those bulls on these heifers because they're different genetics. And Jaco, as you mentioned earlier, on using using the Angus cross Tuli heifers with Angus cross Tuli bull to maintain that same 50-50 genes, I'm happy to do that with these guys too. And looking in here, that's she's polled. This one's polled, so they're all the polled coming from the Mashona side. The Asia is not polled. They do have some polled animals coming through now, but it's traditionally a horned breed. That's as with most breeds in the world. But yeah, I'm very happy with these young ladies. Yeah, so Mark, there you go.
I'll just bring up one thing. No one's mentioned longevity about all of our indigenous breeds.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk about it, but that is to the profitability of the whole business and the whole herd. Longevity is such an important trait. You don't have to find heifers to replace. You've got too many heifers you can actually sell.
You can sell.
So, I don't know if you want to bring that up.
Right, Doug.
Was that one Tuli that side?
Yeah. So there's one of the Tuli cows across there, born in 2007. She's 17 years old. And if you have a look in there, she's probably one of the best condition of the whole lot. The Mashona cows that Jan got conned into joining the Mashonas with Marie. The cull cows he bought from Marie, I think they were 10, 11 years old. They were done. They were here for another 4 years producing calves. Jan on the costings, Jan's figures will get one calf out of them will be okay. He got four calves out of them and then still sold the mother for a reasonable price. It's not uncommon to get a lot of the original heifers I bought from Carmen were 2014, 2015. They're all still there now as 10-year-old cows, and they've still got a long time left in them. So longevity is a strong, and I think it's just teeth wearing out on our sow-felt grass. Our indigenous breeds' teeth have adapted to this horrible grass. And yeah, this Spirobolus that is all around us here, that is the worst thing for teeth, and it wears them out. But the indigenous breeds can handle it. Exotic breeds don't have that strength in their life. They've grown up with, or they've been evolved with green grass.
It wears the mower out.
It does wear the mower out. Yeah. On that note of the mower, thanks Dave and Neil, you here. Thank you, Neil through Hannes and the feedlot they've got here in Chinhoyi. They've been cutting all the grass around here, and so all our bales for sitting on have come from them. And it's also what it's done for me is not the best time to cut grass, but it's opened up the ground like that, and now the cattle can get to that green grass when it comes in September, when in the flay areas, when we get a bit of warmth, that grass will come away. Yeah.
Just coming back to the longevity issue, John, not to put you on the spot in terms of which is better, but just thumb sucking in terms of the comparison, the indigenous versus the exotic. You know, what would you put it at 20 years versus 10 or 30
yeah.
versus 15?
I was starting to get my weapon out because I thought you were going to put me against the Tuli breeder. But definitely indigenous. I know my growing up, previous generation, when the cow was 10 years old, you checked her teeth. She was gonna be done 10, but 12 years old, she's gone. You would not go longer than 12 years old. On indigenous breeds, and because I am here and it's my party, the Brahman is in it as well. The teeth do last a lot longer. 17, 8. I think we've had a 22-year-old. Phil, I think you've had an old one as well. There's been some exceptions, and those are the ones you want to breed daughters from, because they're going to last forever. So yeah, we've come to the end of the day, and to sit here in front of the beef bulls smelling the burgers cooking on the braai is quite nice. I'm starting to get hungry. The Mukono project And you're with us. Oscar, you're with us. Jan, Mark Hook, Ice was part of it at the beginning, Petrus Erasmus. 2012 is when we kicked off the Mukono project, and what the whole basis of it, there's a sign up here and a sign over there, and with the national bulls or the Mukono concept, but the concept of it was that we bring bulls from different breeders all over the country to one place. They are treated exactly the same. They've got no preference, I like that bull's mum, I'm going to look after him a little bit, and there was none of that. It's an all boys boarding school. Send the whole bunch together and let them do what boys do best, fight and cause trouble. And bully and do all of that kind of stuff. Zimbabwe is not for sissies, for us humans, nor is it for the cattle. It's a tough environment, this place. And the humans have been selected just as heavily as the animals have been selected. So that's the concept behind this, to bring them all together, normally around about yearling. They'll come together to this farm to be run in one group together. They fight for food, they fight for grass, they toughen up. And over the last few years we have stepped off the program a little bit, and that's basically probably due on my side to financial problems and hassles, but we're picking up the program again now, and Jan has been extremely supportive. Basically the bulls that we've got for this coming year, so these are the 2021 bulls, apart from the one Boron guy in the middle here, he's Mark Hooks, he's a 2020 bull. But for next year, for the 2022s, we've already got, I've got 20, Jan's got 20, and Mark's going to send some in the next month or so. So it is also, because of that, it's become what did they say? A bull supermarket. One of our buyers said, it's the bull supermarket. You can walk down the aisle and say, I don't want Mazoi, I want Schweppes. You don't want red juice, I want green juice. And so when you come here, people always come to me and say, which is the best breed? I said, have a look at all of the different breeds here, and you tell me which one you prefer, because if you prefer it, you will do it better. You will take care of it. Whichever breed it is, you will take care of it. You will make it work for you. So for this group here, there's been a lot of discussion, and Jan has mentioned Yaku's group, the Cattle and Economics group, WhatsApp group, and there's been a lot of discussion lately about feeding bulls for sale. And I would like to say, as breeders, we fully disagree with feeding bulls for sale. As breeders, we don't want to do it because it's not natural. It's not the natural environment. But if we don't do it when we go to the national bull sale, we have to compete with somebody who has fed their bulls, and it's unfair. So hence using the Mukono feed from Ice Feeds, we have fed those bulls, but we've done it gently over time, and not too much food that they're totally reliant on grass. I mean on food, not on grass. So the principle with that 1% is an animal eats 3% of his body weight. That's the calculations, general statistics. So if he eats 1% from the bag, he's got to find 2% from the bush, whether it's grass, leaves or whatever. But in that thing, we don't put them into individual pens and give them 1%, 1%. We give them 1% across the whole thing. And if they've got, there is not an English word, if they've got shungu, they will find food and they will eat more than their 1%. But good for them, because that's what survival in the real world is about. So that's a process and principles behind it all. So as Jan was mentioning earlier, these guys behind us here haven't been on food since the end of last summer. We stopped feeding them. So they've had end of last winter. So probably October-ish we stopped feeding this lot. So they've just been on the veld, and they are felt raised bulls. They've had no spoiling, no nothing. They don't look extremely pretty, but wherever they go in Zimbabwe, they will go up because it'll be better than Mashonaland sow felt. And I suppose it's opening a bit of a debate here as to, do we as buyers want to buy a bull that hasn't been looked after and we can take it home and it can go straight and work? I would suggest that the first answer would be yes, we want that. But then we look over the fence at those guys over there. They look pretty, they look good, but they've cost more money, and then when you take them home, they're also going to take a bit of time to adapt to your environment. And I'd like to say, us with the Mukono thing, they'll take less time, but some of the bulls that, I've just come around from doing the inspections for the National Bull Sale, some of those bulls have been in a 5-star hotel for the last 5 months. When you send them back to the Musha, and I'll call the Musha generally, like I live in the Musha here, they will suffer. And sometimes they won't recover because their gut is totally, their gut system has totally changed to converting food from a bag, and their whole system doesn't know how to use grass. So
Jacko, you brought up and you put us Mukono guys on the spot the other day, and I call it your group because you're quite busy on it. Can you comment between the two groups, the Tuli groups, there and here?
Well, I was just looking and seeing that the average weight here is close to 500 kgs. So they've obviously grown quite well. So in the last summer, did you give them 1% or in the last winter?
No, summer they get nothing.
So the last winter you gave them 1%?
Yeah.
So they have grown, and obviously you'll probably put them on 1% now.
Yes.
Yeah. Once the weights don't go anymore, they'll go into 1%.
Yeah. You know,
if they were on my farm, they'd be on blocks, winter maintenance blocks, because I can control it. Here John can't control the thing.
Okay.
There's a big dam, and those blocks just go fishing. So we haven't got that problem yet. Not to say it won't be there. We get the odd one stolen, but generally not.
But having said that, your bulls don't look overfed on that side. They've been getting 1%.
Yeah, 1%.
So that's all right. Obviously I think at a national bull sale that's going to probably sell better, but these will work.
Yeah.
I think we've got to move to using protein more and not overfeeding on grain. But I think the discussion and overall sort of ideas that we're sharing here are all positive. Letting the bull decide when a cow's ready, using nature, just adding a little bit here and there where we can get an economic return. I think it's all very positive.
And I think the thing we're missing also is these have been on stover, and stover's got an extra kick in it. A stover, if I didn't have stover in winter, it carries me an extra month or two into winter, maize stover, with just a little bit of protein.
So I'll also be honest, in Tengwe, where these bulls come from, we grow winter green mealies. So right now, the bull herd that's left there goes in for 1 hour in the evening and eats the mashanga. Gets the rumen going, plus they've got ad-lib blocks. And we start feeding those blocks from when the rain's finished. Might be a bit early for the winter blocks, but somehow or other it works and they don't eat too much. If we wait another 6 weeks, we just can't control the intake. And with that, they've noticed no bullspan mangani block per week. Yeah. 5 blocks. Mangani ma bulls. There you go. 67 bulls, 5 blocks in a week. Nothing. I'd happily pay that. So these bulls had that in their first year. The second year they were on Mukono ration. They were still at my place then, on Mukono ration. When the rain started, we stopped. Okay, so they were getting 1%. Plus they get that 1 hour of green mashanga until it's finished. And that'll probably finish in August. Okay, so that basically that 1 hour gets the rumen going. Make sure that they're
But I think that
as floppy.
the advantage of that, it's not grain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still a grass related one. I don't know, it'd be the lignin in there. They've still got to digest grass equivalent.
So there is a trick, sort of end of March protein starts dropping, or end of February protein starts dropping. And if you can give cotton cake even sort of a half a kg, you can almost get a 1-to-1 gain. So half a kg of cotton cake will give you a half a kg of gain, or 0.75 will probably give you 0.75 gain. So there's a trick that we can actually use cotton cake, probably be a bit cheaper than Mukono mix, probably a little bit lower quantity wise. They're tricks we can play with and work with.
All right.
Yeah.
And you feed that till the rains come again.
Yeah, you would actually feed that to your winter. So you can use cotton cake instead of, and you use rather 1 kg instead of 3 kgs or 4 kgs or 5 kgs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So irrespective of the size, 1 kg, half kg or 1 kg.
1 kg probably.
Yeah, okay.
A question for you, Jan. You've selected 4 out of the national bull cell. What was your criteria selecting them?
Confirmation.
Why those 4 and not these?
Confirmation.
Confirmation combined with fertility of their mothers.
Well, this group was very good. This year was an exceptional year for us on bulls. We think so anyway. We're bloody chuffed with them. I know Anne was looking at one in here. And she's still looking at him maybe. The one that's in with the dairy, also for sale. So anyone wants him, you're allowed to pluck him. And the prices are on here. Okay. So yeah, basically confirmation, and then also the figures did have to marry up. You know, we put some strict criteria in for National Bull Sale, the Tuli Society, so they've had to fit that also.
Going back, Jan, to those blocks.
Yeah.
You always find those cattle on Katambora or crop residue consume far less than the ones on the veld. The veld, they clean them up quickly. But I think you've got that more calcium, phosphate, all the residue fertilizer that's in the grass.
So my bulls at the farm are on reverted lands. We haven't cropped them for about 4 years, and a big flay line. And at night they're in a flay line, they're in 3 flay line paddocks all year round. We just rotate them, and that is tall.
Keep it short.
That's short, you know. Yapi Jackson told us the beer can, and I didn't go to university. My father didn't teach me about cattle. I've learned all about it by making mistakes, and lots of mistakes. And Yapi Jackson came with John the 1 year bull inspection. And he said, why are you not grazing that flay line? I said, it's useless, I don't eat that. He said, burn it, and if you can't mow it, get all the grass out and put all your cattle in there. That's a 2 hectare little pivot, section of a little pivot that I had written off. My 120 cows are in that every single night. And it's beer can size.
Keep
the
it
short beer can, not the long tom. And they do so well. They come in from whatever they're grazing, and they come in and they get a green bite at night, lie down on the outside where it's not wet, and they love it. Yeah.
You always have an empty beer can to go and check.
No, there's a cooler box with full beer cans if you want. Afterwards. Yeah. Any other questions?
Oscar?
I think Jaco and what he's saying on that protein is important, but also what you said there, Jan, starting early enough. I think it was mentioned on the group as well. Starting that protein too late in the winter is a mission trying to catch up. First time, we've got no maize over, we've got no green maize, we've got nothing. But I started the protein earlier this winter, and it's amazing how it's helping those animals convert that grass. In fact, I'm a bit worried about pregnant ones are too much, but anyway.
And what are you doing this year, Oz?
Yeah, so we on the block in the cotton, but we haven't. I'm doing 2 blocks a week.
So you're limiting the blocks, or is it ad lib?
At the past, I've tried to start as late as I can to save the pocket, but you don't do that.
No, we just found by going earlier, you actually save. And every year I budget so many 100 blocks, and we have left over. And that's brilliant, because by the next year they're as hard as hell, and the cattle have to lick them, they can't chew them.
Just another punting maybe for the Mashona and the Tuli. Helen mentioned a very important thing, I think, on the adaptation. Maybe Mario can comment with me on this. But originally the Mashona and Tuli were chucked in as a Bos indicus as opposed to Bos taurus until they went to America and Canada. And yeah, they do adapt to the extreme cold temperatures as well as the dry. They lost a few years and tails, but they grew a furry coat and you wouldn't have recognized them. And after testing that, that's where they started to test the meat and realized they're actually not a fully Bos indicus breed. And maybe, yeah, that's when the Sangha came in, and that's possibly where this dairy milk is as well, I don't know. But very strong on adaptation.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. I think that's the end of formal discussion. We are here, to share, to ask. I mean, somebody asked me about learning earlier. Yeah, we're here to learn. I said, yeah. So am I here to learn? Just because we're on the spotlight doesn't mean we're clever. And yeah, please ask questions. Please share your ideas. You've been shy to share something in the public thing. Share it afterwards. There's plenty of time. We've got Edna's got the burgers nearly ready. I can smell them there, so they're ready. And we can. Yeah, and thank you again to Neil for organising it, but for Hannes for supplying the burger patties. Really appreciate that, and that was just a full donation. Thank you. And probably a very big thank you to Wakomana Wemombe tunotenda maita basa nekugadzira makaita kunok. Shaibu is not only our AI technician, he's also the fencing guy. And yeah, don't try and climb through this fence, you will get caught. It is tight. And it's a great job, and yeah, maita basa tunotenda kubatsira maita.
Once you can go and have a meal there, and then we'll do a draw. There's spot prizes if you did pay, and we'll be drawing out of a cup, and each of the exhibitors here has got 3 spot prizes, so you'll be getting some spot prizes if you draw your number.
Yeah, if you haven't paid, you can go pay twice and you can get 2 tickets. 2 chances to get the spot prize.
Plenty food.
Yeah.
1 burger is not enough for your slimline stomach, Phil and I. You can have a second or third. There's Cokes also. Please go and help yourselves. Gutta.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you.